everyone, hope you're doing well. Today we're coloring this Black Witch's hat in Klara Markova's Fairy Touch of Magic, but as always you can apply the same principle to any witch's hat, any black object for that matter, but that's what we're doing today. And I'm just using two pencils. I'm using Castle Arts pencils, Indigo Light, number 45. There you go. And Ivory Black, number 71. So first we're going to just lay down the highlights, the areas where it would be maybe have a little bit of reflection or just a lighter area. And we're going to go over a lot of this area with black, so it won't be this much blue, but it gives a good base. Also, because I also want to do the cat black, so I will use a different highlight color for the cat, just so they're not quite the same shade of black. And you want to get in the habit, like I just did not, of if there are obvious lines in the art, try to color in that same direction if you can, so that any stray pencil marks kind of show up as texture in the pattern. So that's what I'm doing now. I'm just laying down the first layer. We'll have a few layers of this blue, but this will get us started. But obviously when you're getting up next into the edges of something, you have to go that direction, otherwise pretty impossible. And then this part is a little tricky. I don't have a light source figured out, but usually if there's not an obvious light source, I usually tend to want to come like the light's coming this way, but this, just because it makes it easier to color for me, but obviously you can pick anything. So my lightest area is going to be kind of the front, I think, this time. Not the lightest area, my light source. So right now I'm not worried about being very precise. I'm just getting some undercoat, that's for dogs. And you want to, because this curves, you know, this hat is like curving up and around her face. It's a little tricky because you want a little row of shadow, so you want it a little darker right up next to the hairline, but I'm putting that layer of blue just to give it a little bit more depth. And something I am working on, okay, so there's the first layer. Something I am working on is leaving a little white rim around the edge of some things. So we're going to try something here, since I don't know what the background, what the sky is going to look like yet. I don't know if it's going to be a light color or a dark color. So I may change this later, but at least in this initial coloring, in case it's dark, a trick to help two dark objects stand out from each other is to leave just a little white rim around it. So since since I'm not sure what color the sky is going to be, on these parts that are up against the sky, I'm going to leave a little bit of a white rim. I already know that I want this tag parts to be a tan parchment color, so I'm not so worried about leaving the white rim there, but I'm just not sure about the sky. This ribbon I'm planning on making kind of a dark green, so I will leave a little white rim there, but just be forewarned, when you see the final product and final version of this page, this little white rim that I'm about to leave may be colored in, depending. If the sky is super light and doesn't need that contrast, then I'd rather have the black go all the way to the edge. So, but for right now, I'm just going to color in And just, it helps if your pencil is very sharp. So mine's not super sharp, but it's not super dull, so have it be on the sharp side. And just color. As close to that as you can get it. And then you want to make it real dark right up here at the border. With something that's rounded, usually you want to make the edges darker, so, and then the lighter as it edges darker and lighter as it goes in, and that shows that this is closer to you. So I've got it pretty dark right here, and then as I color in this way, I want to leave it lighter. Then I'll fill in with some of that blue highlight and just kind of go back and forth as we go until we get the desired shade. So I'm just doing the same thing on both sides, making it dark right at the border. And kind of feathering in as we go. And like I said, we're going to fill in again with that blue in a second. These pencils to me behave sort of like polychromos, in that they take a lot of layers over each other. I went a little dark there, so I got to feather in what I just did, because I had a little too much pressure right there, but I can always, well, usually fix things like that. It's easy for me to forget. Okay, so this is where the parchment kind of lighter color will be. So for right here, I'm going to go all the way to the edge, because that'll give us the strongest contrast between this and that to keep it, to not have the little white rim. So then you kind of just color lightly to transition from the no white rim to the white rim. And like I said, this may get colored in later too, depending on what I do with the background, but we'll see. See what happens. So then, just use your technique of choice. You can color in lines like this, or you can, I've heard it called scrumbling, I don't know, but just kind of doing light circles. Just when you do the light circles, you have to be lighter, I feel like, and more cautious, otherwise you can see the circles. You want to do them small enough and not so much pressure that you see the circle lines. Just sometimes that's what fits better in a space. But I tend to do lines more often. But the same thing, same idea, you can't, which you've already seen me do a couple times. If I get in too much of a hurry and do too much pressure, then you get line looking. You don't want lines, you want a solid color or solid swatch of color. So you just have to practice with even pressure and not get in too much of a hurry. Okay, so now we've got the basic black part there. Let's fill in this highlight area with a little bit more blue. They will build on top of each other. Now if you wanted a really shiny witch's hat, which I don't, but if you did, you could leave even a stripe, a little triangle of white in the middle. I don't want that, so I'm not going to do that, but somebody described it to me as the shinier you want something to look, the more solid of a line you make. If you want it to look metallic but dull, or have a slight shine, then you kind of feather the colors together. So I'm trying to feather these colors together. And the more contrast between the base color and the highlight, the shinier it will look. I don't want this shiny much at all. And I don't want a whole lot of blue to show when I'm done. So I'm trying to cover over most of the blue. But the finished product will have just a hint of blue in it. In fact, already on your screen you can't see too much of it. And then in that shadow underneath the pencil, I don't want a lot of blue either. I have to find some nice music to cover over this car noise. Sorry if it's distracting. I didn't put a base of blue there because this whole triangle is so small. I don't think we'll miss it. Okay. I'm going to do start with just a rim of black. Really very small because that curve is very abrupt from right next to her head to out this way. So I don't want a big shadow. I just want a little shadow. I have no idea what color her hair is going to be. So just feather it out a little bit. I want to leave a little bit of a light band here now to show kind of the highlight of that curve. Hope you're all doing well. Hope you're having good fall weather where you are. It's still pretty warm here where I live, but hopefully the next week or so it will start cooling off a little bit. I have all my fall earrings and fall clothes I want to wear, but it's been too hot. Find with pencils like these castles and polychromos and things, layers make it easy, light layers, because then if it's going in a direction you're just not sure about, you can fix it with the next layer. So I'm trying to go lightly, not do too much black, because I found that it's harder to correct black in my experience. Okay, again, since I'm not sure what's happening with the sky, I want to leave a little bit of a lip there, not much. A little bit of shadow next to the hair. I may have to try to figure out how to ask you all if you prefer to hear the pencil noise even if there's car noise in the background. In my first videos I would edit everything out, and there'd be music playing, but then all of a sudden the pencil noises would disappear. Some people I think find that pencil noise soothing. But not so much the car noise. So right now it's all or nothing. here, but I'm going to make it a little more, to get closer up here. It's too much. I think the camera's picking up what I'm putting down. And if you find yourself with little darker sections that you don't want, just, and sometimes you have to color around them instead of keep coloring over them, otherwise they'll keep getting darker. And okay, I'm going to add a little bit more blue in here. Layer it so there's enough blue but not too much. Feather that out a little bit so there's not too harsh of a line. Few layers to get to the depth of black I want. That's okay, back and forth. Like I said, with black, it's hard to back out. So I'd rather put some, fewer, less pigment at a time, more layers. It's always interesting to see the difference of what my camera is picking up versus what my eye sees. Very interesting. I'm going very lightly over this blue highlight because, like I said, I don't necessarily want a blue stripe. I just want a blue little highlight. So I'm coloring over it with the black very lightly, just to kind of blend it in. Getting there, but the camera is actually darker than in reality, so I do have some more layers to go, and this needs to be closer to the edge. I'm going to try to go in the direction of the marks on the page that'll contribute to the texture also. Feather that in a little bit. I don't like that separation line, got a little too noticeable. Okay, a little more blue. I just wanted didn't want a big expanse of just solid black right here, so just to try to show that texture. That's why this is getting some more blue. In the end, hopefully, it will just look like a black hat that in the reflection has a little bit of blue in it. Not reflection, but I think a future tutorial idea is to do the same object with different types of pencils so that you can see different layering techniques. That could be fun. Sometimes what happens with layers is you still see a little flecks of paper in between or pigment, so you just have to decide if that bothers you. Some colorists hate it, some don't mind it. I find it depends. Sometimes I hate it and sometimes it doesn't bother me. Sometimes it really adds to the texture and sometimes it just looks unfinished. So right now it's feeling a little unfinished. So your choices are keep coloring layers, pushing a little harder as you go to fill in some of those spots. Sometimes you have to be careful on how hard you push. You'll start to burnish and get this texture that just, it doesn't look the best and it looks uneven. Or you can use a blender, which I don't tend to use a lot of blenders. I do have like a colorless blender pencil that I use sometimes. I know a lot of people use like even baby oil on a Q-tip. And there's some other types of blenders, lots of tutorials out there about how to use blenders. I don't tend to want to go to that step, so like I said, a lot of times the white marks don't bother me. I just have to see how far I can go without them. I feel like we're almost there. Although I think I can see more white marks in person than you can on the camera, so that's good. I have a feeling, so this is parchment, so I'm going to color this all the way to the edge. I have a feeling that this bottle part of the tag that's here, this liquid, will also be a light color, so I can color this all the way to the edge, but I'm not sure yet, so I'm going to leave it alone. But luckily this is all just one color there, so if I need to fill in the black after I do those parts, it will be simple to do that. This up just a hair underneath so it matches that part. Adding color to the black part itself, and not even just the highlights, that helps make the black a little richer. So That's another option as well. You just have to be careful. Sometimes if the pencil puts down too much pigment, then it doesn't look black anymore. So that just takes practice to know the limits. The advantage to the little white flecky parts is if you've got an undercoat, then that's where the little white flecky parts, that's, I know, very technical term, but then that's where some of the highlight colors show through. So that's where you just have to decide how much of it you want. Like I said, it's always easier to add more than it is to go too far and not be able to erase. Depending on the pencil brand, some erase better than others. This part is tricky because the texture says color this way, but I want to color this way. But I'm afraid of leaving weird lines if I do that too much. So sometimes it's a trade-off. And I'm starting to get a little clumpy. If you start getting little clumps of pigment, like I can see one right there, I don't know if you can see it. The Tombow Mono eraser, which I don't have right here because it's in the other room, has a super fine point on it, and it's great for just erasing little things like that in tight little areas. So I use that a lot. And then if there's a particular white fleck that's troublesome, you can spot color that one. But let's see, how's that? See, we're almost there. It looks like a black cat with some blue highlights. Let's see how it looks if yeah, getting there for sure. So I might end up, it doesn't look too bad on screen, but in person this part looks a little grayish, so I might end up adding maybe some Prismacolor over the top of this just to darken it up a hair more without having to go through too many more layers, because I'm already starting to see a little bit of, like I said, clumping in the pigment, and that's hard to fix sometimes for me, especially since I don't like using blenders like blender fluid. I tend to want to limit the amount of materials I'm using. I don't like it when a page, especially like with watercolor or liquid things, I don't like when a page buckles. I know some people really like that sound and like the effect it gives on a page. I just don't like it, so I tend to want to not use those types of things. Unless it's a book or paper specially made to handle it, the watery colors and or watercolors and all the different medium. But a lot of regular coloring books, for me, the pages aren't quite right. So I think that is it for the black hat part. Oh, no, hold on, I missed a whole section. See, that's when you're done, it's good to step back and look at the whole picture, which I did just then and realized I forgot this whole little section. I'm not going to color the ribbon in this tutorial because this page is part of a series of tutorials on different segments, but also it's kind of lesson on how I choose colors. And the black hat is the thing I chose first. For some reason I wanted a black hat, but I don't, and I know a few other things which we'll talk about more as the series goes on, but For now, I don't know, other than green, I don't know what color for sure I want the the ribbon to be. So I'm gonna wait and not color it, but that is just a reason for you to come back. And in the next days, I'll be coloring other elements and putting together more of this series of how I pick colors video that I'm compiling. And when it's all done, we'll have one finished picture with my process on how I picked colors. So that is it for this tutorial. Hope you had a great day today, and I will see you in the next one. Thanks, everyone.